So it's 321 Beyblade Day and the Xeno Excalibur remake just got revealed and it's looking absolutely insane. In today's episode, we are going to be covering the evolution of the Excalibur series throughout the entire Beyblade franchise, from Beyblade Burst in 2015 all the way to Beyblade X in 2025. So grab some snacks and let's jump into our time machine and travel all the way back to 2015. Hold on now, before we jump into it, smash that like button down below, subscribe with the bell notifications on, and share this video with a friend. Let's get this video to 500 likes. And if we do, we'll cover the entire evolution of the Valkyrie base next. Enter Excalibur Force Extreme. Excalibur is an attack type Beyblade that was originally released by Takara Tomy in 2015 in Japan as a part of the Beyblade Burst single layer system. It was owned by Xander in the Beyblade manga, although this version of Excalibur never appeared in the anime, making it manga exclusive. Excalibur released with three main parts. These parts were the Excalibur layer, the Force disc, and the Extreme driver. Now you have to give Beyblade Burst credit where it's due because the original Excalibur layer had a peak design. It features the Holy Sword Excalibur at the center of the layer, with the edge of the Excalibur sword protruding outwards from the layer, making the edge of Excalibur the main point of contact in battle. So when you combine the explosive power of the Excalibur layer with the Extreme driver, which is essentially your standard rubber flat style performance tip, you get a demonic Beyblade. Even in the Beyblade manga, Excalibur was crazy overpowered, especially when you consider the fact the way it Thanos collapsed Volt's Valkyrie into dust. Excalibur is eventually upgraded into the Xeno Excalibur. Enter Xeno Excalibur Magnum Impact. Just like the original Excalibur, Xeno Excalibur is also an attack type Beyblade. It was originally released by Takara Tomy a year later in 2016 as a part of the dual layer system. Zeno also released with his epic sword-styled launcher, which was canonically made for Xander in the Beyblade manga, simply because a standard launcher couldn't withstand this guy's power. Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. This dude is literally built different. I guess it makes sense though when you consider the fact that Pro trains by fighting grizzly bears. Bro, what? Like, why is he fighting Kuma? This ain't Tekken, bro. Mind you, he's 11. Beyblade Burst was extremely, profoundly unserious. Xeno Excalibur was also owned by Xander in the manga, making Xeno Xander's second Beyblade whilst also being his first Excalibur Beyblade in the anime. If you haven't watched the Burst anime yet, definitely give it a try because the battle animations in this series went crazy. Xeno Excalibur released with the Xeno Excalibur layer, the Magnum disc, and the Impact driver. Just like the original Excalibur layer, Xeno also features the Holy Sword Excalibur at its center, although unlike its predecessor, the Xeno blade doesn't protrude outwards as far as the original did. While the edge of the blade is technically still the main point of contact, it's not as effective as the original. That being said, it still has an awesome design. The Magnum disc also had an awesome feature, as it would align with the sword of the Excalibur layer after 2 clicks in battle, helping to focus the weight on the edge of the Xeno sword to slam down into any opposing Beyblade. Later in the Beyblade manga, Volt eventually gets his get back on Xander and fries his Xeno Excalibur. Yeah, the flying broken parts of Excalibur slashing Xander's face was nasty work. Volt did not need to do bro like that. Xeno is eventually upgraded into the Siege Excalibur. Enter Siege Excalibur 1 Iron. Siege Excalibur was originally released by Takara Tomy in 2017 as a part of the new God Layer system. Now the God Layer system was peak Beyblade Burst. The God Layer system had a simple purpose: to equip every layer with its own unique specialized gimmick. But Excalibur technically already had a gimmick, being a sword single contact point. So how could Takara incorporate another gimmick into the Siege layer? It's simple really, they made the sword of Excalibur metal. Like all previous Excalibur bays so far, Siege Excalibur was also owned by Xander in both the Beyblade anime and manga, making Siege his third Excalibur Beyblade in the manga, whilst also being his second Excalibur in the anime. If you thought Xander's battle animations in the anime were good in season 1, just wait until you make it to season 2. Yeah, season 2 was insane. Siege Excalibur released with the Siege Excalibur layer, the 1 disc, and the Iron driver. Just like the Magnum disc, the 1 disc could also align itself with a sword on the Excalibur layer after 2 clicks in battle. The Iron driver was also your typical metal flat performance tip. Now there's not much to say about the Siege layer that hasn't already been said in today's episode. Just like its predecessors, it still features the Holy Sword Excalibur at its center, with the edge of the Excalibur blade being the main point of contact. But I have to say, Bladers, Siege had such an epic design. I think it personally just might be my favorite. Excalibur design in all of Beyblade Burst. But what's your favorite Excalibur Beyblade? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Enter Buster Excalibur 1-Sword. Like its predecessors, Buster Excalibur was also an attack type Beyblade. It was originally released by Takara Tomy a year later in 2018 as a part of a Chozi layer system. Now the Chozetsu or Chozi system was epic. It was the 4th system to be implemented in Beyblade Burst, succeeding the single, the dual and the god layer systems. It had a simple purpose, to incorporate a significant amount of metal onto the layer. But the previous Excalibur, Siege Excalibur, already featured metal on the layer, so to make it different, Takara incorporated another gimmick into the Buster layer. But we'll talk more about that gimmick later. Buster Excalibur wasn't owned by Xander, but it was actually used by his disciple Xavier in both the Beyblade anime and manga, creating Buster himself, with Xander's Excalibur base being the main inspiration for Buster Excalibur. Xavier also used this legendary sword he pulled from the stone to forge Buster, which was absolutely ridiculous. So while Buster is technically an Excalibur Beyblade, it's not the direct upgrade or successor to Xander's Siege Excalibur. Buster had some insane battles in the anime, especially its battles with Iger's Achilles. Again, if you haven't watched Beyblade Burst, give it a try, man. It's absolutely crazy, especially Turbo. Turbo or Beyblade Burst Chozetsu was easily my favorite season in Beyblade Burst. You guys need to try it out. Buster Excalibur released with a Buster layer, the 1 disc, and the sword driver. Its anime stock combination actually had the dagger frame on the 1 disc, but that part was locked away in another set like some kind of Beyblade DLC. Yeah, Takara wanted us broke back then. The Buster Excalibur layer still features a metal Excalibur at its center, just like Siege Excalibur. But Buster Excalibur had this epic gimmick where the Excalibur sword could actually protrude outwards further. When the sword was fully extended, it was referred to as the Buster mode. Enter Xiphoid Excalibur Xanthus Sword -1. Finally, after 5 long years, Siege Excalibur eventually received its evolution in 2022 as a part of a Beyblade Burst Ultimate system. The Ultimate system was the 8th and final system in Beyblade Burst, as it expanded upon the Dynamite Battle system, which separated the layer into 3 parts, which were the core, the layer, and the armor weight. These parts could also be configured into a high and a low mode, depending on how you customized it. Burst Ultimate gave these parts more unique stylized gimmicks, just like the God system from 2017. As Xiphoid is the true successor to Siege Excalibur, it's only fitting it's also owned by Xander in the Beyblade anime. Funnily enough, while Xiphoid was Xander's final Beyblade in the anime, the version that appears in Quad Strike is actually Hasbro's version of Xiphoid Excalibur, which was basically an entirely different product. We're not talking about that shambolic product in today's episode. Anyway, so remember back when Xander's launch was so powerful he'd rate standard launches that weren't specifically designed for him? Well, now his launches are casting through and warping space. Nah, I'm sorry, Beyblade Burst was criminally unserious. Xiphoid Excalibur released with a Xiphoid Excalibur layer, which consisted of the Excalibur core, the Xiphoid layer, and the 1 armor. Xiphoid also released with a Xanthus disc and the sword dash driver. When the Xiphoid layer and the Excalibur core are used together, they're able to form the sword of Excalibur in the center of a layer. Now the Excalibur core had a super fun gimmick. You see, after the bay clicks twice, the hidden metal sword inside the core can fully extend outwards. But wait, hold on now, it gets even cooler. You see, after Xiphoid receives 2 clicks, the Xanthus disc lines up with the sword of the Excalibur layer, meaning when Xiphoid is 2 clicks in battle, the weight from the hidden sword and the disc are focused on a singular point, allowing Xiphoid to deliver some of the most devastating smash attacks you have ever seen in Beyblade Burst. Xiphoid also has a sick design in general. Unfortunately, it was the last Excalibur Beyblade until now. Moving on to 2025, we're currently in the 4th generation of Beyblade, known as Beyblade X, and a whole 10 years later from when the first Excalibur Beyblade was originally released in Beyblade Burst. So to celebrate this 10-year anniversary of Beyblade Burst, Xeno Excalibur and Victory Valkyrie have both been remade into this awesome new system. And just like the OG Xeno Excalibur, this remake will also release with an epic sword launcher. And you just know there's going to be more burst bays on the way to be remade in Beyblade X. We're truly in a peak era of Beyblade. I still can't believe it, we have Buck and Shoot Beyblade, Metal Fight Beyblade and Beyblade Burst all in one system, and this system we're playing in is absolutely insane from a competitive standpoint. So if you never got to enjoy bays from the classic, metal or even the burst generation, then you get to try them out in this awesome new system, and the system itself is peak. There's also bays like Buster and Beyblade X that are heavily inspired by Excalibur's design. So if you still haven't tried out Beyblade X, let this be your sign to buy some epic Beyblade X bays. So if you're an Excalibur fan, now's the time to grab yourself a Zeno XCALIBUR. So check the World Beyblade organization or any other site that hosts tournaments in your area, swing by like Spidey and let it rip. You can buy this epic Excalibur remake on mullertoys.com, and if you do, be sure to use my promo code officialdaimyogt. Well, what are your thoughts on this crazy Xeno Excalibur remake? Let me know in the comments down below. Looking for epic Beyblade X bays? Allow me to introduce you to Mall of Toys. Mall of Toys offer a wide variety of official Takara Tomy products from the new Beyblade generation, spanning from accessories such as starters, boosters, random boosters, stadium string launchers, launcher grips, and even exclusive sets like the Beyblade 25th anniversary set. Mall of Toys even offer free shipping on pre-orders within the US, which is absolutely awesome. And we can't forget about the occasional giveaways for the community. You can use my promo code officialdaimyogt for a 5% discount. If you stuck around to the end of today's episode, I just want you to know you're absolutely fantastic. Seriously, thank you so much for tuning in. Today's episode has been a banger. Yeah, I feel like I said Excalibur at least 500 times today alone. I know this episode was long bladers, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Today's episode was our 3-2-1 Beyblade Day special, and I had a lot of fun making it. So while I typically make evolution episodes for Back 10 Shoot Beyblade or Metal Fight Beyblade, should we make more evolution episodes for Beyblade Burst? If you want to see more episodes like this, you guys already know what to do. Smash that like button down below, subscribe with the bell notifications on if you haven't already, and share this video with a friend. If this video makes it to 500 likes, we'll cover the entire evolution of the Valkyrie bays, the Longinus bays, the Spriggan bays, or the Fafnir bays. I'm not sure which one, so I'll let you guys decide in the comments down below. Anyway, Bladers, today's episode is not over yet because coming up next we have some awesome battles featuring every Excalibur Beyblade. Yeah, this is about to go crazy. I'm talking about the original, Zeno, Siege, Buster, and Xiphoid in multiple stadiums as well. Like I said, Bladers, today's episode is truly a Beyblade Day special. And that concludes today's episode, Bladers. Today's episode was absolutely insane. So if you enjoyed today's episode, you guys already know what to do. Smash that like button down below and let me know in the comments which Excalibur Beyblade was your favorite. But that's it for today, Bladers. Today's episode was crazy. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see all of you guys in the next episode. Peace.